Wow, the past few days have been one heck of a ride with so much happening that I wanted to give you guys a quick summary rundown to the essential items that you need to know. Hello, good morning, and welcome to Stephen Carlson Show. I'm Stephen Carlson. I'm a tech entrepreneur, real estate investor, author, YouTuber, and volunteer paramedic. Please make sure you like, comment, and share this video. It really helps. Thanks. The PPP Flexibility Act has recently been passed, which removes some of the less favorable terms for loan forgiveness, including extending the previously 8-week requirement to spend the money now to 24 weeks, among many other favorable changes. For full details on this, check out my video. The link is in the description and in the card above. We have also seen the Treasury Secretary Stephen Mnuchin and the Small Business Administration SBA Administrator Jovita Carranza testify before the Senate Small Business Committee on the implementation of the CARES Act relief law. Committee members have asked about the rollout and the efficacy of Paycheck Protection Program, the PPP, and the use of the SBA's Economic Injury Disaster Loan, the EIDL program, which lawmakers of both parties agreed were making major stabilizing factors to the economy, keeping many businesses afloat and many employees on the payroll. Senators asked some questions about the glitches in the CARES Act and what further Congress could do to kind of fix some of these problems. I have watched over 2.5 hours of C-SPAN for you, and to save you the time, here's the highlights down to just a few minutes. Now, after this quick montage, I will give you my analysis and comments about what is reasonable to predict we will be seeing over the next few weeks.
As the CARES Act was being negotiated, businesses, if we remember that time, were faced with the prospect of laying off workers, not because of the weakness in their business model or a cyclical downturn in the economy, because the government told them you can't operate. You can't open your doors. You can't take customers. You can't do business. It is, in some respects, the equivalent of a taking, in which government in the public interest intervened and denied people the right to do something. And we viewed the PPP as what government does when it uses its power to do that, and that is to help and compensate those who are damaged by it. The scope of the lockdown meant we needed sizable relief. Initially, the appropriated funds for this program are now at $670 billion. It is a lot of money. It's larger than any other program enacted by the CARES Act. It's larger than the 2008 stimulus bill. By some estimates, it's the largest program since the New Deal. But the speed of the lockdown also meant we needed to get funds to small businesses quickly. The CARES Act, just to walk everybody through this, was signed into law on March 27th. The Paycheck Protection Program began approving loans 7 days after Congress passed it and the President signed it. Small businesses received PPP funds before millions of Americans received tax refunds, before people started receiving unemployment checks, and other lending programs run through the Federal Reserve are only just now beginning to operate. That's not a criticism of those things. That is just to describe the extraordinary effort that it took to stand up a program that didn't exist in just 7 days. To date, 4.5 million American businesses have received loans equal to over $500 billion. And this, we'll know more when the forgiveness begins to come in, but this is equal to 50 million jobs. The average loan size is now down to $112,000, an amount that, based on eligibility criteria, means that the average business receiving a PPP loan would be one with 10 employees. A recent survey by the National Federation of Independent Businesses noted that 77% of surveyed small business owners had applied for a PPP loan, and of that 77%, 93% had received funding. I do want to comment on the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program, offering direct government lending and grants to eligible entities suffering injury due to the pandemic. To date, the SBA has approved more than 1.13 million loans of these loans, emergency loans, totaling about $79, almost $80 billion, and 3.1 million emergency EIDL advances totaling another $10.2 billion. The program has realized numerous challenges, both previously in responding to regional disasters and, of course, under this current one. Today, unfortunately, we see similar and new EIDL challenges for borrowers, including long processing and disbursement timelines and communication issues. As many businesses are also relying on assistance through EIDL to rebuild after the economic disruptions caused by this pandemic, we look forward to the agency addressing the current EIDL challenges and how Congress, how we on this side, can work to support the agency in making improvements to this program.
The program is especially important for minority-owned and other underserved small businesses, which are less likely to have more than one employee and have fewer employees on average. Unfortunately, the administration has not administered EIDL in a manner that makes it a reliable resource for small businesses. The administration has put in place requirements and limitations without notifying borrowers, such as a decision to cap the loans at $150,000, even though the statute allows the loans to go up to $2 million. In May, the administration also made the decision to stop taking applications from non-farm small businesses, meaning restaurants, retailers, and other mom-and-pop establishments have not had access to EIDL since mid-April. Small businesses are relying on you to make EIDL loans more accessible. The administration must become more transparent. In the months since the passage of the CARES Act, Congress has been pushing for additional data on who is receiving this aid. How can we know which businesses still need help if we do not know which businesses have received help? Senator Coons, Shaheen, and I are pursuing legislation to help those most in need to receive additional PPP funding, but we need the data to ensure this assistance is effective as possible. As I think we all agree there's going to be a need for a second round, but how are we able to get that second round if we don't have the full information on how the first round is operated? We believe that the aid should go to the smaller of the small businesses. We believe it should go to those that are most in need. It should be a needs test. We believe it should go to the underserved communities, particularly rural areas, minority businesses. But we need to have the data in order to make those decisions.
The average loan that we're experiencing currently is $68,000. We expected them to really be the community that was going to access the $150,000. We were anticipating about $83,000 an average loan, and they're coming in at $63,000, $65,000.
What's the rationale for a $150,000 cap when the statute says up to $2 million?
Well, when we first opened up the portal to accept disaster or EIDL COVID applications back in March, we went from 85,000 loans in one day, and in 4 days, the input, the demand, increased to 3.8 million applications.
But as I understand it, with the additional appropriations, you can go up to like $350 billion in EIDL loans, and I don't think you're anywhere close to a fraction of that today.
Yes, but at that time, sir, we had $7 billion available. We exhausted those $7 billion through the subsidy, given the approval.
But the same thing was true with PPP. We made money available. The window opened quickly. You processed the new loans quickly. You haven't done that for EIDL. We made the more funds available, and they have not been processed.
I understand, sir, but when you look at a EIDL government loan program, it's exactly that. Whereas PPP was designed with various distribution channels. So if you go from 1,800 banks in the PPP up to about 5,400 banks, they now have the small businesses have over 5,000 access channels, whereas
I understand that. So let me just point out, the PPP applications have slowed down. We haven't seen the EIDLs pick up. This is unacceptable. The EIDL program has to operate at a much more efficient level. You need to let us know if you need more help. Secretary Mnuchin, I want to ask one question in regards to those who had criminal records. You issued a regulation that prevented them from participating in the PPP program. We've talked about this. There's bipartisan legislation and broad support in the Senate to allow those that have repaid their debt to society to be able to participate in the PPP program, with the exceptions of those that have committed economic fraud type offenses. We've been trying to do this administratively. Can we get it done administratively, or are we going to have to pass a bill?
So thank you, and first of all, we appreciate all the communication we've had with you on this issue and other issues. We're actually in the process of putting out guidance that I think will come out today, reducing it from 5 years to 3 years as a result of your input, and we're happy to work with you and the chairman to see if we should reduce it even more.
So survival was the key and the focus, but now the focus turns from survival to recovery. And so as we think about recovery, my question is, as June 30th comes sooner than some would like, many are asking about a second bite at that apple. Is there an opportunity, as you all think through where we should go? Is there an appetite for folks to perhaps see another 4 weeks of the PPP in addition to what they already have? And/or are there any other ideas that are on the table that speaks to the recovery aspect of where we are and not simply the survival mode that we have been in? To either panelist.
Well, Senator Scott, thank you and appreciate all of your help. I definitely think we are going to need another bipartisan legislation to put more money into the economy. I think, as we've said, we don't want to rush into that because we want to be both careful at this point in seeing how the money is in the economy. A lot of the money is still not in it. And two, I think we need to be much more targeted at this point. So I think at the point when we were in an emergency, we had to put a lot of money in the economy, and we knew that it would not be perfection. But I think whatever we do going forward needs to be much more targeted, particularly to the industries and small businesses that are having the most difficulty in reopening as a result of COVID-19. And we look forward to working with you and the rest of the committee over the next few weeks as we think about that.
I find it really interesting how overall the PPP has been a very successful program, and it looks like they'll be considering a second round. During this first round, over $500 billion was authorized and paid out to 4.5 million small businesses within 2 weeks. With the unemployment rate at 13.3% instead of the 18% that was projected. This is due in part to the PPP funds keeping Americans employed. The EIDL, on the other hand, has been one heck of a complete. In just over 2.5 months, they have been only able to complete $80 billion in loans compared to the $500 billion from the PPP. The SBA Administrator admitted that they were completely overwhelmed by the level of demand, with 85,000 loans being submitted on the very first day. And within 4 days, over 3.8 million applications were submitted. And as of last week, they have only approved 1.13 million of those applications. Now, from the testimony, it looks like everyone is in general support of more targeted stimulus. Now, still, I doubt that we will have a second round of the EIDL as it is currently structured. Now, it's possible that if they revamped the EIDL program similar to how the PPP ran, they might go for a second round. Now, any of my regular viewers will remember a video titled "Why the SBA PPP and EIDL Stimulus Package Failed" back from April 23rd, where I proposed a much more simplified PPP and EIDL solution. Now, going back to the testimony, one thing that they only partially hit on in this hearing was the $10,000 grant. Aside from some small brief mentions in opening statements, no one actually pressed the SBA on why the $10,000 grant, as authorized by the CARES Act, was unilaterally changed to $1,000 per employee. I was hoping that the committee would have made it clear that the lawmakers' intention was for $10,000 per business, even if the wording of the actual law was poorly written. This leads me to believe that we will honestly probably never see the $10,000 as promised, unless Congress goes back and adds it to the next stimulus bill. After reading through the comments that some of you guys have left on some of my other videos, I see a common thread is where the SBA is entirely silent for many applicants, leaving small businesses just wondering if or when they will ever get their loans. It looks like these small businesses that have not heard anything back yet on their EIDL application, the SBA has committed to providing a status update by the end of this week, with all applications moving to the processing phase. So hopefully you should hear something this week, maybe next week at the latest. Now, this doesn't mean that you will actually be approved or denied. You'll just at least get some sort of status update. The SBA has also stated that they are preparing their online portal to handle appeals and new applications. It's not exactly clear if the reason for preparing the portal is in anticipation of a second round being authorized by Congress. So what do you guys think? What's your current status? Why don't you comment down below and share with the community what's going on? Today, I want to give a shout out to Jamel and his channel. I recently found this channel after one of his videos was recommended to me by the YouTube algorithm. His open and raw approach immediately struck me. He doesn't flash money, cars, or anything else that the online rich guys from YouTube do. No, he just shows you the grind and the hustle that it takes to make money as a serious investor.
As real as possible, forgetting about all of the fluff that a lot of guys are putting out there on real estate investing and trying to show lifestyle and stuff like that. This is not about that, all right? Forget about the lifestyle stuff. It's cool, but lifestyle don't pay the bills, all right? Lifestyle, showing flashy videos and cars and stuff up on YouTube and traveling all over the place, don't pay the bills, all right? You want real results, follow somebody who's actually doing the real estate business.
Check out his channel. I know you guys are going to love him. Make sure you tell him the Stephen Carlson Show sent you. Thank you very much for watching. Please make sure you click like and subscribe. Doing so really helps with the YouTube algorithm. Thanks, and I'll see you on the next one.